Let's start by taking a close look at Lion-O's face, right? I feel like this is a game changer for them, for the Origins toy line. And there he is, my friends, the 2025 Lion-O action figure from Mattel. Howdy friends, and welcome back to Toy Box Nostalgia. I'm Douglas. In this video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing and taking a super duper close look at the absolute brand new 2025 Mattel Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats, Lord of the ThunderCats. That's right, my friends. Tonight we have none other than yet another Lion-O action figure. How many Lion-Os do we need? I don't know, but this is definitely the most unique. I feel like out of all of the Lion-O action figures that I have, and I have one with light up eyes. I know this isn't technically the first Lion-O action figure that Mattel has made. I don't actually own that one. I kind of wish that I did, and I really like the wrapped mummy version of Mumra that they did. I thought that was really cool, though we got the Super7 Ultimates version, which was really close. There was a little bit of differences there, so I really wish that I had that original to compare this to, but you won't be disappointed. I have a lot of action figures that we're going to put next to this guy, and we have so much to look at, tons of artwork, and honestly, the crossover stuff to me is just so much fun because there's just so much imagination involved and just so much absolute raw fun. Like, this is fun. Look at this. Oh, this is so cool. I know I started this playlist with Skelra. I had to. You know, I probably should have started with Lion-O, but we do have Skelra open and /Mumra, and we'll be taking a close look at both of those together and getting some great shots for this video. So please stick around to the end. If you're new to Toy Box Nostalgia, you'd love to see more unboxing content like this show up into your YouTube newsfeed, specifically anything that's 1980s related, early 90s related. If you're a fan of this toy line, please drop a comment below. If you have like toy photographs of them, if you have display photographs of them all together, I'd love to see them. Please give me some handles and I'll definitely check them out. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening, my friends. Let's just go ahead and just dive right in, right? Okay, my friends, here he is in that amazing single blister packaging. We have one card and a blister like we have with any other Masters of the Universe action figure that's not deluxe. Up here at the top, you can see that this is in fact an unpunched card. Mine looks kind of jacked up a little bit there. It says Masters of the Universe in super high gloss, X ThunderCats, Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats is not in high gloss. We have that beautiful burst. The warm and cool tones together just look magnificent, and this truly looks super retro looking to me. I love it. I think this is beautiful. Huge blister, crystal clear, wonderful blister, and inside that you could see that there is a bubble. He's sitting in the bubble with all of the accessories. You can see everything inside of here, which is awesome. There's definitely a comic book back there. We'll take a close look at that. Down here at the bottom right does say Mattel. This is just, look at this. Like, this is wonderful. Flipping over to the back, you could see this beautiful comic book style artwork right here. Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats, battles back the ancient forces of evil from Third Earth to Third Eternia. Wow, take a look at that. Look at those details. The artwork that Mattel is producing is superior right now. I love it. Down here says Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats, and then Sheathed Sword of Omens onto back. So he does, it looks like he has some sort of like loop right there, and the sword could go back inside of the loop. I love that Eternia playset look right there because it's a cat, right? It fits, and it's over here like this big shoulder armor right there. Oh, I can't wait to see that in person. Down here we have a cross sale, says Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats, Chitara, fastest feline in the universe, and then Battle Cat Man, most powerful cat in the universe. I do have all of these to open up right here with you on the channel in this specific playlist. It says it includes a comic book, and then down here a whole mess of words, and then it says Mattel empowering generations through play. Over here's the barcode in case you need it. Let's go ahead and get this guy out of the package. Okay, my friends, here's everything outside the packaging and the packaging itself. And just like Skelra, you can see the background that bursts right there is in fact a giant ThunderCats logo. And that is awesome. Okay, so we have our action figure and all the accessories confined to this little bubble right here. Look at that. That's so cool. Here are the instructions. So we can have like a basic Lion-O from the 1980s cartoon, or we can have Lion-O from Third Eternia. Isn't that cool? And it shows you exactly how to swap all of the parts. It looks like we can remove the hair. We can remove, obviously, the head, because this is a Masters of the Universe Origin style action figure, we can remove the arms at the shoulders, we can remove the hands at the wrists, we can break the action figure in half at the waist to replace these belts right here. And we can also, in this is rather new to me, I've never seen this in Origins before, but we get additional shins. So we'll be able to take the feet and the entire shins off, essentially. And yeah, we'll be playing a lot with that. You can actually see that right here. These parts right here, they're the entire foot, and there's a peg for the shoe. So I'm guessing the shoe does, in fact, come off. Next up is the comic book. This comic book is called Third Eternia, my friends. And then we open it up. And I'm recording this in 4K in case you'd like to pause this and read this, though I'm fairly certain you could find high-resolution scans of this somewhere online by now. I wonder if we can do that with this action figure, like hold the sword up to his eyes. I really hope that we get a full-length comic book of this like we did Turtles of Grayskull, because this artwork is truly phenomenal. Alright, my friends, here's everything you get outside the box. Here are all the accessories. Here's the action figure. Let's start with the accessories first. Take a look at this belt. So this is made out of a nice soft material, and it's painted really well, actually. The ThunderCats emblem is absolutely razor sharp. We have white paint on this blue. I'm guessing this is vinyl. It's very, very soft. And then we have this right here, which we always saw with Lion-O to place his... There we go. Let's just put his shield claw right there, just like that. I'm hoping that fits on that way while it's on the action figure. Maybe it sticks out a little bit due to the legs, but yeah, it's there. It's kind of cool. I think Mattel did a great job on this. Next up, we have the Sword of Omens. Take a look at that, right? One side has that really cool cat eye right there, the red with the black pupil. And then over here we have that really nice ThunderCats emblem, and it is also razor sharp. This looks really close to the Super 7 versions. I can't wait to compare those two, because I really can't, besides the emblems right here, I can't really see too much of a difference. But again, I'm really hoping that we can hold this up to his eyes with this action figure. Next up, we have hair. So this is his wonderful, flowing, fiery red hair, right? And I'm guessing that this hair right here, this piece, like his armor piece, is part of the hair. Yes, it is, my friends. So then we can just put regular Lion-O hair. If I can figure out how this works. There we go. Let's put it on that way. Here is the other accessory, essentially, with the hair, and it does, in fact, have that soft vinyl feel to it. It's just really, really soft. It's painted with a metallic black color, maybe like a gunmetal or charcoal color. Next up, we have an additional hand, and this hand is used to replace the shield claw that's currently on the action figure that we just took off to test with the belt. And you can see the sculpting is pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen Origins male hand look like this before. And holy cow, Mattel did a great job once again. And then next up, we have his regular, like, cartoon style boots that we see right here, which essentially are just the shins. The actual shoes themselves don't have any wraps on them, so you can use them for both the Eternia version, Masters of the Universe version, or just the regular cartoon version. And you can see it's typical Masters of the Universe Origin style pegs, and they are labeled R for right and L for left. And you can see there's hinges on there. So the hinges did not want to move. I had to warm them up to get this to work, and you can see that they are in fact working now. And they do have pegs on them. I'm guessing this is a new Origin style peg for upcoming action figures, in which hopefully they start making more like this, where you can swap out the entire boots right here and keep the feet, because I think that's really cool. Another great job from Mattel. Finally, let's take a close look at the action figure details, my friends. Let's start by taking a close look at Lion-O's face, right? That is awesome. Holy cow, is that cool? I think the paint job is wonderful. It's almost like a combination of the toy version and the version that we saw in the cartoon. To me, that would be my best guess. But the eyes, I don't know what Mattel did, but the eyes kind of look real to me. They really look like they're looking around. And yeah, just you could see his face and his head are cast in this color right here, like this. I don't even know what you would call this, like an orangish tan color. The paint application, I don't know if it's printed on. It is absolutely razor sharp on my action figure. Taking a look at his body style, his arms seem to be just a little bit long, but that's okay. Like I mentioned in the Skelra video, these aren't really necessarily humans. He does have this cross armor right here, which I believe you have to remove at least the hair to get this off. And you can see the cross armor, the actual emblem is printed razor sharp, and it looks like it's cast in a metallic vinyl. It is shimmery, kind of like car paint. Like when you see car paint in the sun, it's kind of glittery. That's what this looks like to me. And it's got that really nice buckle system where it is essentially just a big rectangle and it just pushes in just like this, which is very, very helpful for old people like me to get this stuff onto the action figure. But wow, yeah, again, I think Mattel did a great job with this armor. I've never seen this style of armor before in ThunderCats. So I'm guessing maybe this is something new that Mattel has made. He does come with the shield glove right here. This is a brand new sculpt. I have not seen this style before in a ThunderCats action figure, specifically Lion-O. And this piece up here is soft. This big like flat piece with this peg in it, and then the actual fist is like a hard plastic, but they match the colors perfectly. To the naked eye, they're perfect. And it looks like this piece is just glued onto the hand. And then you can see that peg right there, which goes into the wrist. Here is the Eternia playset left shoulder guard right here, I guess, or armor. And this is so cool. I think that Mattel completely nailed it by integrating the Eternia playset look with this, because it was just essentially a giant cat, right? Oh gosh, that is awesome. Look at that sculpt. This whole thing is super soft, by the way. It's kind of blowing my mind a little bit because it's cool. And then we have this right here. This is brand new for Lion-O, and this is like a gold belt and is a big white loincloth, very much like a Masters of the Universe action figure. You can see it curves in the back right here, goes straight down in the front. It's again a soft material like everything else, all the other accessories so far. And the gold is definitely painted on there, so that's good. I think that's, I don't see any paint flaws on mine, like at all. So cool. So here are his Eternia style boots. And you can see there's like fur sculpted on there. It's painted. I don't see any paint slop or anything like that. The straps are painted on a dark brown color. Very cool. And then like the boots themselves are essentially cast in like a dull blue color. Up here we could see that it's Masters of the Universe origin style peg system. One does have an L and one does have an R. And that means that one is his left foot and the other one is his right foot. Respectively, here is just his shoe. So this is just a shoe right here. We can see that there's something stamped on the bottom of it. It says 10650B. And you can see there's an L on there. And the L corresponds, obviously, to the left leg. We can see that the peg does, in fact, point downwards towards the toes. It doesn't go straight down into the shoe or the foot. Oh yeah, look at that. Putting it on is like super duper easy. So you can see his ankles kind of sculpted in there. They did give him an ankle and his calf. Everything looks really good. As far as the basic Lion-O uniform goes from the cartoon, I'm just going to go ahead and just plug this in. Yeah, these are like really tough joints right here. These hinges are really tough. And finally, he has this arm brace right here. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the hand. You can see typical Masters of the Universe origin style peg. And then you can see that this is like a squishy material, just like all the other stuff. I don't know if this is vinyl or rubber or what, but it's very soft. And I love the details in this. It's cast in a shining gold. Like it looks like gold in person color. And yeah, it's just very basic. You know, it doesn't need to be anything fancy. And then I'm just going to snap this in here, just like this. So I'm going to put his hair back on. I'm going to put his basic Lion-O hand on here instead of the shield glove. The other hand is a gripping hand, which is kind of cool. And there he is, my friends. This is the 2025 Lion-O action figure from Mattel. And wow, it really just straight up looks like Lion-O from the cartoon, minus some of the paint application. Like the straps up here don't have the additional color in it. And yeah, it's just, oh gosh, holy cow. The sculpt is great. Like it, you know, it's obviously Masters of the Universe, super muscular, but it fits, right? Doesn't this just fit with Lion-O? It's perfect to me. One thing I think is a little bit goofy is the paint that they put on the legs right here. So like they made it seem like he had more clothing down there, and I think that's a little bit strange, a little bit odd. You can see it's just like painted on there. Mine's a little bit scratched too. Here's the ball joint inside of here. Kind of looks like it's technology or something. So I don't know. This is kind of cool. So obviously the legs we could swap out there, and we'll take a closer look at articulation later. But yeah, this is all of the details of this action figure in this form. And then I'm going to go ahead and change him back to his Eternia form. But the belt's great. Again, it's just a little bit of paint missing, but you know, that would be easy to put on there if you really wanted to. He seems pretty tall also. Like his legs look really slender. You know, his torso and his chest and his back are huge though. He's very, very muscular looking. And yeah, he looks like he can seriously deal some damage even to some of the Eternian villains. You know, the evil warriors of Snake Mountain. You know, imagine him fighting those in the same exact scale and kind of like the same style, right? That's what's truly wonderful about this. So here he is with his Eternian helmet on, or like his face, his mask. I'm guessing it's kind of like a helmet, but it just lets his hair go through. But he's also in his cartoon getup, right? And if you ever get mixed up for some reason, I don't know why you would, but you can see there's an R on his leg too. You just match the R with the R, and then with the shoe, there's an R inside there also. Okay, my friends, so here he is back again with his full Eternia getup, and holy cow, this is so cool to see. Like, it's nice to see another Lion-O action figure with his cartoon form before, but this is awesome. Let's test his little loop that he has back here to store the Sword of Omens. This is such an awesome action figure. I really, really enjoyed the Skelra action figure, but seeing a Lion-O and holding a Lion-O again in 2025, and this one is being from Mattel, and it's in this Masters of the Universe form, is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. So as far as the details go, I truly believe that Mattel just crushed it, man. Great job, Mattel. Like, congratulations. I haven't seen paint this sharp on a Mattel product in a while, specifically since I've been doing a lot of Masterverse stuff. Where the eyes kind of look hazy or sprayed on, this really looks like it's printed. The sculpting is magnificent on this. The design of his Eternian outfit, I think, is so much fun. Mattel just did a great overall job at capturing Lion-O's spirit in this action figure. Like, he's fun, but he could beat someone's ass for sure. And the color palette is perfect. I think they did a great job with the colors also. Next up is the articulation, my friends. So we're gonna start with the head. The head is on a ball joint, and you can see, just like Skelra, this one has a little bit less joystick movement. This is a dumbbell shape right here. There's definitely a ball down there inside the neck. That's how they achieve that movement right there. And you can see the socket. And we just pop it back in. Moving down to the arms. The arms have a big old hinge right there, and they're on a peg. Masters of the Universe origin style. You can see right there, the peg hole points downwards towards the pelvis. So you got to aim it downwards whenever you put it back into the socket in his shoulder. And then moving down to the elbow, he spins at the elbow. Massive hinge right there. Very cool. He doesn't have a bicep cut, obviously. This is origins. And then moving down to the hand, he spins at the hand, because obviously his hand is replaceable with the shield claw, right? And then you can see that the hinge goes into his palm for his left hand. And then over here on his right hand, luckily, this might make some few folks happy, he does have the hinge in the top of the wrist. So he can hold the Sword of Omens up in the air, just like this. Yeah, just like that. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So this bracer right here is definitely inhibiting his articulation with that wrist hinge. I'm going to show it to you up close though right here. You can see it just goes to the top of the wrist, so you can get that, you know, skyward sword look, right? Or pose rather. So go ahead and just push this in here and then put this back into his hand, and you can see, yeah, see, the bracer definitely stopped him from doing that somewhat. It wasn't a lot, you know, it wasn't much, but you know, it's still really cool. And maybe this will help actually with the, yeah, I mean, you could get him to do it. See his eyes in there? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But you kind of have to push it against his face. You know, maybe that joystick movement would help with the ball peg here. If you pull it all the way forwards, maybe that would help in trying to achieve this pose right here, this iconic pose of him looking through the sword. And yeah, he actually does it kind of well. There's just a little bit of a gap right there. I wish he could get it closer. Moving down to the waist, he spins at the waist, and you can see Masters of the Universe Origin style peg system. Obviously, his legs are also removable at the pelvis, as we saw before, so you can take both of these out, and you can see that it's kind of like a barbell, but it's got a triangle shape right there to hold it in place with the plastic. It like keeps it steady so it doesn't spin around inside there, so you can get a wonderful amount of articulation from the legs, like pretty much fully out. Moving down to the knee, this right here is a pin right there. It doesn't come out unless you warm it up a bunch, and I don't recommend that. But oh, that's kind of neat. He has like an actual knee. That's kind of cool. I love the sculpt. I think it's cool. I like these new legs. I think they look great. But there's a big hinge right there, and you could see the part of the thigh is cut out so that you can get it to move up even further. Like Mattel actually really tested that out and thought that out really well. I think that's great that they did that. Less than an inch down, we have more articulation, full spin, because this is a peg. As we saw right there, just comes off, so you can swap and replace parts. And then down to the feet, my friends. So we already know that there's rockers on here, right? Those pegs inside there that connect the foot to the shin at the ankle point downwards towards the toes. So when he's in an epic battle position like this, he could get his feet planted flat on the ground. So as far as the articulation goes, we're going to see what we typically see with Masters of the Universe Origins, but it feels like a little bit more. I like the new peg system where the thighs connect to the pelvis. I think that's really cool with what they started, I believe, with Badger and Tuvar from the cartoon collection, because it seems like you get more movement out of it. And, you know, obviously at some point, maybe you can swap it out with a different leg from a different action figure, which I think is really fun. And then the new peg system for the feet, really, Mattel? Like, you can take the foot off of the shin. I feel like this is a game changer for them, for the Origins toy line. So there's only two parts of him that I feel like are a little bit restricted as far as the articulation goes, and the first is his head, like the back of his head. He can't really look up that well, and then his wrist. You have to remove the bracer to actually get that movement in the wrist, I feel like, or you might be able to warm up the bracer and bring it up onto the forearm a little more. Also, the tops of the arms being so rigid, I really wish that there was a bicep cut. It would just make posing this guy just that much easier. I mean, at that point, you might as well give him an ab crunch and then he'd be essentially a classics action figure, but better. And now for the height measurement, my friends, you can see that this Lion-O from the Mattel Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats toy line stands at about 6.5 inches with his hair. Without his hair, just to the top of his head, he's pretty much exactly 6 inches tall. So here's Lion-O standing next to the Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats Mumra the Ever-Living / Skelra action figure. You can definitely see that there's a big height difference. The buck size of Skelra is just so huge, and the legs, everything is just so big compared to typical Masters of the Universe Origin style action figures that we've seen here already on the channel. Here is Lion-O standing next to the Super7 Mumra action figure from their Ultimates toy line for ThunderCats. So here we see the Lion-O from Mattel standing next to a Lion-O from Super7. This is from their Ultimates toy line, and it is based off of that original toy that we all had in the 1980s of Lion-O. You could definitely tell from the head sculpt and the claw shield sculpt and even the sword, the colorways, everything kind of lines up with this Lion-O, except for the light blue of the suit that he's wearing. But you can definitely tell the skin tone kind of matches here. It's really close. Now, the Ultimates version on the right is a lot more vibrant in the orange skin tone than the Mattel version on the left. And here I've brought in another Super7 Ultimates version of Lion-O. I believe this is the very first one that they had released in the Ultimates toy line, and you could definitely see that he's based off of the cartoon. He definitely has a much different skin tone than both of the Lion-Os you see on the left. And here I've brought in yet another Super7 Lion-O. This is from their Deluxe toy line, and this one is based off of the cartoon. To me, in my opinion, this is the most accurate cartoon version of Lion-O I think that I've ever seen. And you could tell now by the different skin tones. We have very vibrant orange here all the way on the left from the original toy from the 1980s. And then we have like an in-between tone here that's in between the cartoon and the toy, where it's a little bit orange. It's almost like a peach color, kind of dark. The cartoon version is very light skin toned, but not as light as the Target version. Here is the Target version. It's actually much, much lighter in skin tone in person. It's almost like a very light peach color, kind of like an anime skin tone color. And then finally over here on the right, this was Super7's take on Lion-O, and you can see he's very tan, almost like He-Man from Masters of the Universe. Here I've brought in young Lion-O. This is again from Super7. While Super7 does a lot of ThunderCats action figures, to be fair, and they do a lot of them very well. But in this instance, we can see that young Lion-O's skin tone almost exactly matches the Mattel Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats version of Lion-O's skin tone. It's almost identical in person. Switching it up a bit, I've brought in Panthro. Again, this is from Super7 Ultimates toy line. This version of Panthro does have pins and looks very reminiscent to the Masters of the Universe Classics action figures that we got from Matty Collector. These two guys I feel like look really good together because Panthro is a lot taller than Lion-O and a lot bulkier as far as muscles. And here I've brought in Monkian from Super7's Deluxe toy line. I purchased this from Target when it was a Target exclusive, and I had no issues with it. I actually really like this action figure. I think the sculpting is great, and it's probably hard to beat for the value. You even have the flail that he's holding with an actual metal chain, and obviously this Monkian I feel like just is far too big to match with the Mattel version of Lion-O. In fact, I think he's too big for the Ultimates version of Lion-O also. I feel like Monkian should be a lot shorter, but maybe that's just my memory screwed up. I feel like he was smaller in the cartoon. So here I've brought in Quick Pick. Again, this is from Super7 Ultimates toy line for ThunderCats, and he's one of my personal favorites. And actually, I think these two look pretty good together. And finally, we can't have a party unless we have a crazy mummy that's trying to take over the entire galaxy, right? So here we have the Super7 Ultimates version of basic mummy-wrapped Mumra. This is one of my absolute favorite action figures of all time and top 10. The materials that he's made of are awesome. The sculpting is awesome. The paint application, the washes, the details, the cloth cape, his staff, everything about this guy is truly fantastic. And his height, I feel like he's a little bit too tall to match with the Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats version of Lion-O, because Mumra alone stands at about 5.5 inches tall, and I just remember him being like small and frail before he actually becomes Mumra, the ever-living. So this one is nuts. This is the toy version of Mumra, the ever-living, and this is made by Super7 in their Ultimates line, and he's made to look like that original toy from the 1980s, and holy cow, the sculpt, the colorway, everything. I love this action figure, and look how big he is compared to Lion-O. Doesn't that kind of match up and kind of align, right? Mumra was absolutely gigantic in that cartoon, and I feel like the Mumra, the Ever-Livings from Super7 are going to look fantastic next to this action figure. Finally, one last thing I want to show off is the difference in the Sword of Omens, my friends. So this one in my left hand here is from the Mattel Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats. You can see that there's the eye on this side and then the ThunderCats emblem. This one in my right hand is from the basic version of Lion-O from Super7 Ultimates. I think the very first release of Lion-O, actually. I don't see much difference. I feel like the Mattel version is just a lot bulkier. The sword is definitely broader. And yeah, you could definitely tell there are slight differences. Honestly, I kind of prefer the Mattel one over the Super7 one, just, you know, looking at them in person. And then next up, we have what is the deluxe version sword. So this came with the deluxe version that you see right, that guy right there, and the broken one back there from Target. These, I feel like, are almost the exact same cast. Holy cow, they are super duper close. Again, the Mattel one is look how thick like the emblem is in the middle, and the empty space in the handles essentially for his eyes to look through, and it's a lot lighter color plastic and almost a little bit translucent in this light. But they're all silver. They're all shining silver, and all three of them look great, by the way. As far as the claw shield goes, Super7 released a ton of these. One of them has like an actual removable Sword of Omens in its small form. Yeah, just like this. And it's just like a drab gold. All of these are just like a brown color, almost like a gold brown color. But you could totally see the size difference right here. They're pretty much the same, almost the same color. The Mattel version in my right hand is a little bit lighter. And I don't think I have any claw shields from Super7 that are in a punching fist. So that's kind of new. I really like these with the open hand, and they just look so incredible. It's one of my favorite aspects of Lion-Os from Super7 are these pieces. Some of them are like super detailed. Some of them are really furry. There's a lot of fur sculpt in them. But this one honestly has its own charm to it. Like, it really matches that Eternian outfit with all of the plate metal that you see like on the actual like wrist guard here that goes up the forearm. But yeah, very drastically different in size. So I gotta show this off. This is the Mattel Master of the Universe X ThunderCats version of Lion-O with the Super7 Deluxe version of Lion-O's claw shield. It actually fits perfectly onto this action figure. So this has been the Toy Box Nostalgia unboxing and review and super duper close look at the Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats Lion-O action figure. And I truly believe this action figure is perfect for what it is. You know, it is an Origins action figure, and it is one of the best, the most outstanding action figures in the Origins line that I've seen in a long time. I'm truly that impressed. I've opened every Cartoon Collection action figure, minus I think 3 or 4 so far, and this guy just like truly impresses me. I love the imagination and effort that went into the Eternian outfit for him. I think that was such a great touch by Mattel. Like, this crossover, how is this not fun, right? This is so much fun, and it's very exciting. I'm super excited about this stuff. I always have been and always will be. But thank you so very much for sticking to the end, my friends. I hope that you enjoyed the rest of your week. And always remember to grab your cameras and collect and shoot.